Most dangerous sports. Oh, sport, you are the world. All of us are familiar with sports in one way or another. Some are fans of it and some are not. Some can't live without it, while others can't live with it. There are tens of thousands of different sports and millions of athletes in the world, but not all sports are safe. Every year, on average, 10 to 75% of athletes die during training and competitions. There are deaths in any sport, but the more extreme the sport, the higher the death rate. According to statistics, the safest sports are swimming, rowing, fencing, diving, and Nordic walking. But there are also very dangerous sports that take many lives. But despite this fact, some extreme lovers are not stopped by anything in the way. The 10 most extreme and dangerous sports. 10. Rock climbing and mountaineering. Rock climbing is a highly dangerous sport and no one doubts it. But according to statistics, only 1 out of 1,750 athletes fail each year. Here, the athlete's strength must be distributed just perfectly. The difficulty lies not only in the ascent, but also in the descent. Most beginners make the main mistake by putting all their energy into the ascent and forgetting that the descent is just as hard. The specific point about mountaineering is that with any serious injury, you are more likely to come close to death, or at best, a hospital bed. Mountaineering qualifies as a Level 5 hazard sport. 9. Motorsports. The death rate in motorcycling is not as high as it could be, thanks to professional equipment to ensure the safety of athletes on the track. Fractures, injuries, and bruises are not that dangerous. The real threat to the athlete's health comes from the extreme stresses that the body experiences during races. Crazy centrifugal force, constant stress of mind and body of motorcycle racers literally destroy the body. Muscles, bones, and internal organs are gradually getting damaged. During the race, the athlete loses an average of about 4 to 5 kilograms because of the protective suit and stress. The same happens with Formula 1 racers. After a couple of years of professional racing, the racer's body just needs an overhaul. 8. Rodeo. This sport remotely resembles horseback riding, but only very remotely. On average, in 8 seconds when an athlete is on the bull, he is already guaranteed a dislocation of the wrist. If he falls from the bull, which is almost always the case, his chances of being crushed by the bull increase dramatically, as well as the chance of getting a dangerous or even fatal injury by the horns. Each year, there are about 80,000 people who become victims of bulls during rodeos. This is considering the fact this sport is far from being popular all over the world. It's good that we have almost none of it. But in some European countries, it's starting to gain momentum. So, if you are interested in rodeo, it's better to be just a spectator. 7. Parachuting. Parachuting is an extreme discipline, which of course is associated with increased risk to the health and life of the athletes. Before making your jump, you will definitely be asked to sign documents on the voluntary nature of the jump and the absence of claims against the organizers. On average, the death rate in the sport of parachuting is 13 people per year. The fatality rate is 0.03% and injuries are about 0.1%. The chance of dying while parachuting is 233 less than dying from fire. Accidents usually happen due to the parachutist's fault and his or her incorrect actions. So, about 30% of accidents happen because of a bad landing. About 25% happens when the skydiver didn't try to open the reserve parachute, and about 20% happens because of opening the reserve parachute at low altitude. The remaining 20% of accidents were caused by incorrect operation or absence of a safety device, or due to the loss of consciousness of the parachutist or other factors out of control of the parachutist. Fatal accidents mostly happen to people who are not new to the sport, and they happen because of overconfidence, indiscipline, carelessness, and making the wrong decision. To protect yourself, do not skimp on the jump. A jump will be as cheap as possible where they under-budget money on the airplane, fuel, instructor, or equipment. 6. Rafting. Rafting is an extreme sport, which is why safety is paramount here. Without a life jacket and helmet, you cannot get on a raft. Choose equipment strictly according to your size. Do not wear a vest and helmet of a larger size. Rafting is paddling down rivers on a special boat called a raft. It has good water stability and high buoyancy. The main danger of this sport is that there is a huge risk of falling out of the floating craft. Especially for this purpose, there is a rope around the perimeter of the raft, which should be firmly held in case of impact. To avoid an accident, it is necessary to choose professionals. Find out as much information as possible about the organizing company, about the experience of the instructors, and whether they have supporting certificates and work permits in general. 5. Rugby. These athletes have a very high chance of ending up in a hospital bed. During the game, athletes are constantly pushing each other. Lacking sufficient protective equipment, rugby players constantly get stretches, breaks, muscle injuries and fractures. On average, each player suffers about 2 to 3 minor injuries per game. Meanwhile, more serious injuries are guaranteed for more than a quarter of athletes after every match. So, if you want to become a regular customer in hospitals, rugby is just for you. Otherwise, watch the game on TV. It's safer that way. 4. Surfing. Quite a dangerous and extreme sport. Here, the risk of drowning is very high. The main reason for drowning is the loss of consciousness. That's why you go to conquer the waves with your friends. But this is not only the main danger of surfing. Marine life, especially sharks, is a huge danger to the surfer. But besides sharks, athletes should be wary of seals, snakes, jellyfish, and stingrays. Some waves that look great from the shore can easily break bones. Local surfers may not be the best company, so always behave in a friendly manner. Underwater currents can wash you into the ocean in 1 second. Surfboards, straps, sea bottoms, and a large number of surfer beginners – all of these can be detrimental to you. It's worth weighing all the pros and cons before setting off to conquer the waves. 3. Horse riding. As long as you are firmly in the saddle, there is no reason to panic. But if you fall, then, unfortunately, fractures of the arms and legs, pelvis, spine, or shoulder joints are guaranteed. This is a better option than a horse that weighs about 1,700 pounds will walk over your body. According to statistics, while riding, people receive 40,000 injuries per year, including fatal ones. Here, the relationship between the jockey and his horse must be just perfect. Otherwise, one should hope only for luck. 2. Diving. It's a quite dangerous sport, requiring a person maximum training and self-discipline. Each year, more than 8,000 people are becoming disabled. Diving can cause potential damage to the brain, lungs, and heart, and often results in death. Being in an underwater cave at a depth of more than 100 meters in the dark, a person experiences tremendous stress, and any malfunction with equipment, diver mistakes, or encounters with underwater creatures can be fatal. There is no shortage of dangers associated with scuba diving. The use of scuba gear is fraught with danger. By diving into the depths and inhaling nitrogen under great pressure, a person can become insane and commit suicide. The reason for this is the disruption of the brain centers. By ascending to the surface very quickly, you can get bends. That's why the diver must be descended to a sufficient depth for decompression. At a depth of up to 30 meters, a diver can get a ruptured eardrum, damage to blood vessels, hypothermia, or hemorrhages in internal organs. 1. Base jumping. The most dangerous activity on our list is base jumping. It's a parachute jump from an object. Such jumps are made from low structures such as bridges, cliffs, waterfalls, or any other structures. Such jumps are very dangerous because any failure to follow the rules will lead to the death of the athlete. To start learning base jumping, a person must be over 18 years old and have extensive experience of parachute jumping, that is over 150 jumps registered in the Book of the Parachutist. There are such types of base jumping in the world as free fall. This is the most popular type of jump, where the athlete opens the parachute himself. McConkey. Performing such a jump, the parachute canopy hangs in front of the athlete. McConkey can only be practiced in calm weather, so as not to get entangled in the canopy. Pilot chute assist. During such a jump, the parachute is in the hand of an assistant who is standing on the object from which the jump will be performed. Wingsuit. The athlete wears a special suit which gives him the shape of a wing. Group jumps. Such jumps look quite spectacular, but they increase the level of danger. These jumps should be performed only by very experienced athletes. Acrobatics. During a free fall, the athlete performs acrobatic stunts. Wrong way. The bag with the parachute is on the base jumper's chest, and he jumps with his back to the front. The first base jump was made by Russian student Vladimir Osovsky. He made a jump in France from a bridge 60 meters high over the Seine. When making jumps, close attention should be paid to the object from which the athlete will jump. A very common cause of death in base jumping is a collision with the object. Before each such jump, it is necessary to make a calculation, study the direction and strength of the wind, and carefully study the landing areas. From 1981 to 2017, there were 312 base jumping deaths. In 2015, one of the best athletes, Dean Potter, and his partner died while jumping over 2,000 meters in a park in the United States. As you can see, any sport can be dangerous, but especially extreme sports. That's why you should think 1,000 times before starting to play one of the sports in our top 10. But if you have decided, then you should unconditionally follow all safety measures and rules to protect yourself from sudden death.